Hello again, everyone. I'm Void. Welcome to Year 2 of LotusClan. This is part 2 of a series, so if you haven't watched the first part, I recommend you go back and do so. I've also made an animatic sharing some lore on Strike Clan, so I recommend you watch that as well. It's not vital to watch it, but I do still recommend it. I'm really proud of it. And speaking of animatics, this year actually begins with one. Content warning for blood for this one. Rhyme Breeze, ever the early riser, had awoken with the Dawn Patrol cats, though she wasn't chosen to go with them this time. While she waited for her other clanmates, including her apprentice, to get up, she decided to go on a walk around the lakeshore. She was pleasantly surprised to pick up on sounds following her and an unmistakable scent, a fellow LotusClan cat. She turned to greet the younger cat, only for her face to fall, confused and concerned as she saw the odd expression on their face. She didn't have a chance to speak before they were already upon her. Hours later, when her unusual absence was picked up on and her body was finally found, the now red-stained waves had washed away any trace of her killer. Yep, that's right, we got a murder, and a segue into, sadly, our Star Clan cats for this year. Rhyme Breeze had been doing well at the beginning of the year, even getting one of Boorish Spot's kids as an apprentice. But unfortunately it wasn't meant to be, as she was murdered just 1 month later, poor girl. Something really funny did happen before she died, though. She fell out of a tree and got bruised. Then got her apprentice, and her apprentice fell out of a tree and got bruised. On the same moon. I think her apprentice tried a little too hard to take after her mentor. And sadly, our other major death this year was Ferretfoot. As you'll know from last year, he got his warrior name in month 13, though it was revealed early because I messed up a little bit. He was a lot more social this year, wanting to get to know his clanmates better and even complimenting them on their fighting styles. In month 20, he was even given an apprentice to train, a new face you haven't seen yet. But alas, in month 3, blood burning in 3, 2, 1, he and 2 other cats on patrol were ambushed by rogues and he was killed. Blood warning over. I'm really sad he died. He had a lot of potential. Now for 2 dead cats you've never seen before. Borage Gleam and Cauliflower both droned really old, and were both former kitty pets. And sadly, both of them died soon after due to the conditions they had when they joined. Borage Gleam of carrion-place disease, and Cauliflower of head damage. They joined at different times, so they never officially met while alive, but I like to think they knew each other and are now hanging out together in the afterlife. And now for the living. Crooked Star is still the leader and hasn't lost any more lives yet. She's 119 months old and thriving. Maybe a little too much? Girl has been consistently confident that her clan adores her. Out of her 12 statuses this year, it took up 5, almost half of them, and at other times she was feeling motivated or blessed by StarClan. She also snuck out of camp to visit Rhyme Breeze's grave the moon she died, so she did at least care about her. At one point she was apparently annoyed with Maple Paw, not wanting to go on patrol with her. Bestie, you are the leader. I'm sure you can tell Rosie Rose not to put you on the same patrol. And speak of the devil, the deputy, Rosie Rose is still deputy at 77 months old. She mostly just did her job this year, assigning patrols, protecting the clan, giving advice, etc. At the very beginning of the year, she got an accessory, flower petals, which I chose to interpret in her design as rose petals to match her name. You might have seen them in the sprite I used to reference in Year 1's video. She also ended up spending 4 months in the medicine den with a mangled tail after getting attacked by a fox, which then got infected. I was sure she wasn't gonna make it, but somehow she survived and recovered without even getting a scar. Tough gal. The 52-month-old Gullfeather remains head medicine cat, but he actually isn't alone in the medicine den anymore, much to his annoyance. His tail was badly injured early in the year, leaving him temporarily unable to work, and the clan realized that just having one medicine cat probably wasn't the best idea. So a senior warrior close to retirement, along with an apprentice who had just recently lost their mentor, stepped up to pick up the slack. Despite this, true to his asshole-ish behavior, he frequently forbade others from disturbing him or watching him work. Earlier in the year, he also adopted 2 newborn kits after finding them with their recently deceased mother, though he is not particularly a good parent. He doesn't seem to care about them all that much, and even chased them out of the medicine den when they just wanted to spend time with him. Concerningly, his dark forest connection has also deepened. Not new to the clan, but new to the medicine den, is the 128-month-old Yellow Leopard. Her aching joints kept her from completing her warrior duties to the fullest, but she wasn't quite ready to retire yet, so when Gullfeather was down with a mangled tail, she took the opportunity to switch paths. Despite her old age, she picked up on medicine surprisingly quickly, having had to figure out basic first aid and medicinal herbs during her day as a loner in order to survive. Surprisingly, she did think about 2 legs and a kitty pet life a lot this year. Maybe she was considering potential alternate retirement plans, but I don't think it was too serious of a consideration, since she was also thinking about how bad kitty pet food must taste. And now for our new medicine cat apprentice, the 15-moon-old Timefall. Originally the apprentice of Rhinebrace, she decided to switch paths after her mentor's untimely demise, hoping to protect other cats from her fate rather than harming or killing them. Which means, yes, Timefall was the one who fell out of a tree immediately after being apprenticed. She also wanted to adorn her pelt to celebrate, but evidently she didn't find anything. Sad. She took to her new role pretty well, having a lot of statuses about learning and taking care of her clan, though she did slightly worryingly have a status later in the year where she was trying to convince another cat everything was okay. And of course, as you can see, she still hasn't quite graduated yet and is behind her siblings, who already have their full names. The current oldest warrior in the clan is the 124-month-old Giosa, and she's not doing so great. Her son's death left her grief-stricken, and in the last month of the year she was feeling uncertainty in the safety of the clan. Before that happened, she'd been acting like her usual shameless, friendly self, lazing around all day, playing pranks and practical jokes on the younger warriors, making her clanmates roll their eyes. She was also doing her best to ignore gossip about her past, probably some cats wondering if she was suitable as a warrior given her attitude and the fact she was a kitty pet most of her life. Really, she just wants to keep her clanmates happy despite the rough times they've been going through. Next up is the 95-month-old Rubble Gorse, who near the end of the year came out as trans. He's a trans male and uses he/him pronouns. He flip-flopped between playing pranks and causing trouble and trying to set a good example for younger cats, and multiple cats tried to give him advice at different times. In month 15, he was made mentor to Maple Paw and was chattering at the birds. He had a couple different interactions with Gullfeather, like pranking him or wondering if he got any prophecies lately, which I interpret him as trying to get the grumpy cat to be a little more social. It didn't work, unfortunately, as Gullfeather is Gullfeather. Close behind is the 90-month-old Chimber, who I think was trying to be supportive of her clanmates. She wanted to ask Gullfeather if he'd received any new prophecies and wanted to critique Giosa's fighting techniques in month 12. So it seems like she was trying to contrive reasons to talk to others when it seems like they needed it. Do I think she was doing a good job? No, not really. But I did notice Borage Spot wanted to get to know her partway through the year, so at least someone was getting along with her. And speaking of Borage Spot, she is now 63 months old and happy to be out of the nursery. Not that she's not proud of her kits. She is, absolutely. But she's glad to have more time to be able to pursue her own ambitions. Like I said, she wanted to get to know Chimber better, and she was trying to set an example for younger cats, though she did wish one of Gullfeather's adopted kits would play more quietly. Interestingly, the late parent of those kits, a cat named Carnation J, who because of her name I've decided was descended from former clan cats who still upheld clan traditions and worshipped StarClan, accidentally found herself in Borage Spot's dreams in month 23. Also out of the nursery is the 34-month-old Goose Scar. All of her kits are warriors, and she could not be happier. Also, she got an apprentice of her own, though she can't help but noticing that her son Pansy Fog has been acting kind of weird, like he's keeping a secret. For now, she's doing her best for him, holding out hope that she'll be able to get him to open up. She helped kit sit Gullfeather's kits and had some statuses about going to the medicine den and helping out sick cats. She's a really self-sacrificing cat, I think. Like, she got white cough, and her status that moon was about her waiting for everyone else to eat before taking food. We need to get a mediator stat. This girl needs therapy. Next up is my girl, the 25-month-old Lightning Burst. She broke her leg on the 2nd month of the year, and it didn't heal until the 7th. Also, she confessed her feelings to Ferretfoot during that time, who did not reciprocate. Yep, she got rejected. She also had a status about wanting to go on patrol with Maple Paw, despite both being the medicine den, so I took that as her being impatient to heal so she could get out and do stuff. Making matters worse for her, not long after her leg healed, she was out for a whole nother moon with a migraine. This was just not her year, although she wasn't even the worst cat when it came to health. Interestingly, in month 24, she had a status about wanting to go on a journey, so I'm gonna see if that goes anywhere. Next up, our previous youngest warrior, the 23-month-old Nutstone, and she's doing just bad. Her brother just got murdered, her mom's despondent, and she's being confined to camp when not on patrol so she doesn't do something reckless and potentially get herself killed too. She doesn't have the grief-stricken status, but she did have a status about hoping Ferretfoot is safe in StarClan, so it's safe to say she's grieving too, just in her own way. And I'll be honest, I'm not really sure she was fitting into the clan the best before then. She did have positive interactions with clanmates, but most of her status has revolved around wondering what kitty pet life is, or wondering about two-leg dens. Her mother Giosa was a kitty pet, so maybe she wishes they never went to the clans to begin with and had stayed with two legs, something that would be further cemented with Ferretfoot's death, which wouldn't have even had a chance of happening if they remained kitty pets. Now for the recently graduated Goose Scar litter. First off, Weevil Stem. She is 16 months old, confident, and a learner of lore with natural intuition. She was mentored by Hazy Frost, and a bit of a troublesome apprentice, playing pranks and daydreaming about being the greatest warrior ever and fighting in Leopard Clan. Well, she was supposed to be training. She graduated in month 22, where she was honored for her daring. She was influenced by her mentor to be more likely to dwell on things. By the way, I'll only be mentioning the mentor influence when it's generated by the game, which is not always the case. Next up is Cop's Wisp, who was mentored by Rosie Rose. She and her other littermates are the same age, so I'll save the trouble of reading out their ages for the other two. She is lonesome and a good storyteller with natural intuition. She got heat exhaustion early in her apprenticeship, and in that same moon was disappointed in a missed catch, which implies to me that she snuck out to hunt while sick. And later she had a hunting competition with Maple Paw, who had heat stroke. She graduated in month 20, where she was honored for her cunning. Immediately got caught touching noses with a loner, and then was given an apprentice. Really questioning Crooked Star's decision-making there. Next we have Pansy Fog, who is wise, a good hunter, and a fast runner, which was probably what allowed him to effectively hunt down and ambush one of his clanmates, because somehow, not even 2 months after his apprenticeship, he managed to murder Rhyme Breeze. Worse still, he doesn't seem to have any regrets about what he did, even giving advice to other cats constantly. He just moved on. He was mentored by Nutstone, and made a warrior in month 21, being honored for his dignity. He was influenced by her to be more likely to bicker with others. Finally, there's Piper Deer, who is cold and a great teacher. He was mentored by Borge Spot, and was a pretty determined, albeit slightly troublesome apprentice, because apparently you can't have LotusClan without a little eavesdropping. He was eavesdropping on Crooked Star. Cats eavesdropped on each other 4 times this year for the record. Anyways, he was granted his warrior name in month 20 alongside Cop's Wisp, where he was honored for his pragmatism. His mentor influenced him to be more likely to interact with others and have strong inner morals, but also to have trouble adapting. Next up is Hatch Speckle, who is 15 moons old, ambitious, and clever. He was mentored by Giosa, and did his best to go above and beyond as an apprentice to prove himself, while also maintaining that typical apprentice mischief. They were banding together to play pranks, I swear. He also tried to give advice to older cats. Emphasis on tried, since I'm pretty sure everything he said was either wrong, or something they already knew. He graduated in month 21, where he was honored for his decisiveness, and I translated that brown patch under his mouth into a little goatee, just because. Now for the other cats, now warriors, in Borge Spot's litter, starting with Crouch Snout. He and his siblings are estimated before 15 moons old. He's confident, a good climber, and a good swimmer. As a kid, he wanted to be deputy so that everyone would have to listen to him. He was mentored by Crooked Star, and as an apprentice, he was part of the prank squad, and also got caught sneaking extra fresh kill by Rosie Rose. But he did his best to train and wanted to get to know his fellow apprentices better. He graduated in month 22, where he had a runny nose, and was honored for his independence. Finishing up the Borge Spot litter is Mapleflower, who is childish, a learner of lore, and a good swimmer. She was mentored by Rubble and was probably the most troublesome apprentice out of all of them. She played pranks, consistently convinced other apprentices to play mossball with her instead of training, and had a hunting competition with Cop's Paw, despite the fact she was supposed to be confined to the medicine den because she had heat stroke. That month, her status was that she thought Cop's Paw needed to work on her stalking technique, which was funny, but girly, you need better priorities. Even after she recovered from that, her time in the medicine den wasn't quite over yet, as she spent another 2 months out with a dislocated joint. She graduated in month 22 and was honored for her adaptability. Also, she finished the year in the medicine den with frostbite. And finishing up our warriors is the 11-month-old Cherry Stripe, who was lonesome and a great climber. She was found at 1 moon old on a patrol and was mentored by Goose Scar. As a kid, she wanted cats to talk to, but didn't like being babied, and though she thought about talking with the other kids in the nursery, she ended up keeping to herself. She had a pretty uneventful apprenticeship, being one of the many prank-playing apprentices and wearing herself out with training. She graduated early in month 24 and was honored for her intelligence. Her mentor influenced her to be more likely to step out of her comfort zone. Now on to the apprentices den, starting with Magnolia Paw. She's 10 moons old, responsible, and an avid play fighter, and splashes in puddles. One of Gullfeather's adopted kids, she's definitely closer to him than her brother, but he's still quite neglectful of her even then. She was a very playful kid, though for some reason she stopped sleeping near her brother after having a bunch of weird, vivid nightmares. She was given Ferretfoot as a mentor in month 20, where she acted like she was bored, but was secretly the most excited she's ever been. Immediately after, she was making sure everyone else ate first before getting her own fresh kill to eat. Both after Ferretfoot was injured in a fight and after his untimely death to rogues, she had statuses about practicing battle moves, implying to me that those events drove her to want to get stronger in order to protect those she cares about. She was re-apprenticed to Weevil them in month 24, but they haven't really had a chance to do anything notable together. I'm really noticing a trend of Crooked Star giving apprentices to younger warriors. And for our only other apprentice, Magnolia Paw's brother Hornet Paul, who is righteous and, concerningly, interested in the Dark Forest. He was quiet and somewhat lonesome as a kid, though later on became slightly aggressive, trying to growl menacingly when other cats were near. He was apprenticed to Cop's Wisp in month 20 and asked for advice on an assessment before getting a torn pelt on his first patrol. He quickly became known by the medicine cats as a cat who had frequent small injuries, which were mostly just chalked up to him being a reckless apprentice. He also frequently imitated things he saw older cats do, and was anxious at the idea of being a warrior. Last second addition, in month 24, he was mating up with a Strike Clan apprentice named Sweetpaw, who I believe may be his friend. And now to the Elder's Den, still with only one resident, Shadow Willow, who is now 140 moons old. Being retired, he didn't really do much this year, but he did seem to enjoy lounging around the camp, helping out with various small tasks, giving advice, and helping with the kids. Multiple other cats had also had statuses about him, hoping for more stories, wondering what all he'd seen and done, and one kid hoping they'd never be as grumpy as him when they got old. And finally, the Nursery. Orol is a loner that joined after meeting a patrol during month 15. I didn't note down the exact patrol he joined with, but he wasn't injured, so it was most likely the "your patrol meets a loner who's interested in joining" prompt. He is 58 months old, lonesome, a good mediator, and a good fighter, despite spitefully swearing he didn't need others and wondering if anyone would care if he went far away. He spent a lot of time kit-sitting and interacting with the clan's kids, and giving them badger rides and helping them out with their mischief. The clan did quickly find out that he was not a good cat to send to gatherings. The sheer amount of cats was overwhelming to him and extremely stressful. And as for the reason he's in the nursery, during month 24 he found an orphaned newborn kit. A little sheep kid who he adopted and named Weed Kid. She's still in the potato baby stage of life, so she doesn't have much of a personality, but she is shy. Now for our other nursery parent, the 26-month-old Hazy Frost, who had a litter of 3 kits in month 19. The other cats in her clan don't know who the father is, nor do they know that she's secretly been crossing the Stripe clan border to meet a warrior named Owlsight, who she is mates with. She sparred with clanmates while pregnant and waited until everyone else ate to do so while recovering from birth. So, these cats are still kind of insane. Rose Kit, the first in Hazy Frost litter, is 5 moons old, fearless, and constantly climbing. She tried several times to sneak out of camp, though it didn't really work, as she may be brave, but stealthy she is not. She also got in other cats' way by batting pebbles across the camp, seeing how far she could get them, and generally pestering the warriors. Her sister Daisy Kit is noisy with morbid curiosity. She tended to stay away from other cats, instead practicing her bird calls at the edge of camp and yelling at nothing. Concerningly, she seems to be plagued by nightmares, often seen whimpering in her sleep. But she claims to not remember what she was dreaming about when she wakes up. And finally, there's their brother Clover Kid, who is impulsive and confident with words. With the habit of getting stuck in trees and the fact he followed every one of Rose Kid's bad ideas without a second thought, he quickly became a camp menace that everyone is hoping to Star Clan he'll grow out of. He is, however, being looked as a potential medicine cat apprentice for when Yellow Leopard retires. He's been talking about seeing weird cats in his dreams, one of which looks a lot like him, that the clan believes are Star Clan cats visiting him. And that's all of LotusClan. Now for the other 3 clans. There haven't been any changes in leadership, but there are still some things worth talking about. First off, Mossy Star was attacked and badly injured by a large dog, which given how Hash Star went out is more than a little bit suspicious. In Strike Clan, Fern Star went from insecure to charismatic, and apparently she's learning from Crooked Star, because she too is confident that her clan adores her. Now, she is also now mates with her deputy J-Stripe, so we'll see what happens with that going forwards. No news from Weasel Clan, Loudstar is still the leader. Deputy time. Firefluff is still deputy of Laura Clan, and maybe tried to get Mossy Star killed with a dog, and is currently grief-stricken after the sudden, mysterious death of a close friend. Oh yeah, and this happened last year, but he does have a mate, a Tom named Ember. I just forgot to mention it because I was caught up with his crimes. Diversity win? The cat who keeps murdering and trying to murder leaders is gay! J-Stripe, too, is grief-stricken after the death of a friend, and as aforementioned, is now mates with Fernstar. Not much new for Heathmore, but he did have a concerning amount of nightmares. And medicine cats. There are a lot more than last time. In Laurel Clan, Sharppaw is now Sharpbee, and still bloodthirsty! He was stocking up on Uberries, which is even more concerning! And a former loner named Theelstripe joined as a third medicine cat. She was introduced as a medicine cat from LotusClan, but since I didn't feel like recoding her or removing any cats from LotusClan, I decided she was a descendant of old LotusClan who still lived nearby. She's 80 moons old, grumpy, and an excellent teacher and a great kid sitter. Strike Clan also has 2 new medicine cats, Sleek Goose and Lucky, both former kitty pets. Despite what you might initially expect, Strike Clan doesn't actually dislike kitty pets. They're respected as they hold knowledge of 2 legs and things 2 legs create. That said, they're generally kept to non-warrior roles unless they can prove themselves particularly good at hunting or fighting. Sleek Goose is 91 months old, righteous and a good mediator. Lucky is 28 months old, playful and a lore keeper. And Pod Dash currently remains Weasel Clan's only medicine cat, though they'll likely be needing more soon given recent clan growth. And, though I forgot to draw him, the former kitty pet Ossipec is Strike Clan's new mediator, and the only mediator currently in the clans. That's all for year 2. Sorry it took so long. I was busy with a lot of stuff, and so the writing of the script got delayed significantly. Hopefully, the next video will be out a bit quicker. Another thing, LotusClan is pretty big right now, so if it gets any bigger, I'll very likely end up running a mass extinction generator. Hopefully it won't come to that, but you never know. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye!